then I thought about the 8th graders and how they courageously got out in front of this sea of humanity and talked about their faith. And I thought, maybe he is talking to me. It's time for me to get up here. So thank you, 8th graders, for giving me the courage to stand up here. And 8th graders, thank you also for helping me with one of my props today. Your beautiful banner, which actually is an iPhone with all the apps there. Each one of these squares represents an 8th grader and their personality. It actually, today, is a quilt. And it tells the history of this 8th grade class. And it's going to live on at Canterbury School, telling the history of the class of 2011. And I love that, and I thank you for that. So it fits really well into my sermon. I also brought a quilt from my house, which my sister-in-law Amy, but she's really my sister, made for me. My sister-in-law Amy makes quilts for everybody in our family, whether it's for a wedding, or a new baby, or a milestone birthday. Amy is making quilts all the time with my family, because my family is huge. So, and I feel like my family's here right now. I also borrowed some from the kindergarten, so some of you kindergartners recognize this quilt up here. So, as we used to say, the gospel according to, and today the gospel is according to quilts. So here goes. I've been thinking a lot about my younger sister, Laurie, this week. And as some of you know, I have a huge family, 5 brothers, 5 sisters. How did my parents handle all of this? I have no idea. But I do know that they love each of us so very much. And they encouraged us very much, and encouraged us with our individual talents, and we were all individuals. There were athletes in our family, artists, comedians, bookworms, rock stars, and even someone who would take all of her little brothers and sisters, march them down into the basement in front of her chalkboard, and teach them how to read and write. I wonder which one that was. But back to Laurie. She was the drama queen of the family. She was always getting my mom's dress-up chest. Do any of you have a grandmother with a dress-up chest? Just full of costumes and wild hats and dresses. Costumes. So fun to get into. I'd love to go by the kindergarten classroom and they're in the dress-up box. They're in their fantasy world. If you haven't done that lately, you need to walk by the kindergarten. Well, when Laurie grew up, she became an actress, and she was in community theater all the time. And one of her favorite plays that she was in was called The Quilters. It was about a mother who had 6 daughters. That's kind of like our family. No wonder she liked that play so much. But this family lived in the 1800s. That was the time of the Little House on the Prairie books. And I know you 2nd and 3rd graders are familiar with that, because I know firsthand you've been writing journal articles about Laura Ingalls Wilder. And you've been typing them. Well, this play tells the story about a mother named Sarah. And she gathered all 6 of her daughters together to make a quilt. And the mother kind of felt that this was going to be the last quilt that she made. She's at the end of her life, and there are things that she wants to share with her daughters. They sit and piece this quilt together, square by square, as they talk about their lives. The happy times, and the sad times, and the threads that hold them close to each other. Each square represents an important part of their lives. The birth, the weddings, the twisters, and then at the end of the play, all of them hold up this wonderful, beautiful, glorious quilt that tells the history of their lives together. I wonder if any of you have a special quilt at your house, a cozy, comforting blanket put it all together as a surprise and presented it to them on their 50th wedding anniversary. It really turned out well, and it's a treasure, and my mother always said that that was going to be the first thing she grabbed if their house ever caught on fire. Isn't that a typical thing a mother would say? And even at my age, I'm proud that she said that. There's also a room in their house called the Quilt room, where I sleep when I go home to visit. It's filled with quilts, and it has a photograph of my sister Laurie when she was in the play. As soon as you walk in the room, you see my sister Laurie and the Quilters quilting with the sisters and the mother's hair. I just love that room, and I always feel so comforted when I stay here. Well, the next time you look at your favorite quilt and notice the stitches that were made with love from family and friends, maybe some of those edges have been worn by holding the quilt so tightly. Miss Hoover has a friend who is going through a really hard time right now with treatments. Her friends from church made her a quilt, and they made it with love and stitched every corner so carefully. And her friend sleeps with that every day. And she sleeps with it because she feels all the love that's coming through on that blanket. You know what? When I look at this chapel right now, I see a quilt. It's a Canterbury quilt. It's made up of a tapestry of colors and hues and textures. And at those times, when I need to cuddle up in a loving quilt, and I can't make it back to Washington, where my parents' quilt room is, I know I can feel that comforting feeling of friends and community right here at Canterbury.